All righty, we're gonna jump right in with why you shouldn't calm down when you feel angry. And Jasmina's gonna take it away.
Yeah, that's what I usually tell my clients, and they're like, "What?" But everyone ever, like people always tell you to calm down. And why I tell them not to do that, because a lot of there's a lot of charge with anger, and you get all worked up. It's like you do a warm up, and then someone tells you to just sit down and sit with it. So why I tell them not to calm down is because with calming down, what we usually do is just suppress it, just push it down further. And then we have this pressure cooker that is our body, and it begins, the steam begins to come out. So, what I usually suggest is just to move with it. Like, recognize it and move, like, breathe, go for a walk, like, do something with this energy that is stirring inside. It's just energy that wants to move. And if we stop it in its tracks, usually what happens is it turns against us or it turns against the people around us. And then we lash at our children, lash at our partners.
Yeah. What comes up for me is also when you are told, like somebody says like calm down, like how do you feel? That it adds fuel to the fire. It does the opposite effect. So
Yeah.
why would you say that to somebody else? Because that's the effect it does.
Yeah, but we also do it with ourselves. Like we tell ourselves, I need to calm down. I need to calm down. But it's just pushing it down. It's just suppressing it. And most of my clients have um, this misconception that being regulated means being calm all the time. And since my clients are mostly mothers and they want to be the attuned mother, the responsive parent, what they do is really, really push the bad emotions, the uncomfortable emotions down. And it doesn't do anyone any good. And it keeps them actually, it keeps them out of the attunement with the child because they're not being in tune with themselves.
Mm. And the image that comes to mind is the image of a dam. So it's not just with anger, but with also like all emotions that we push down. And it's like the water in the dam is the suppressed emotion. And we are using our energy, our mental process, I don't know, it's energy, it's inner energy, right? To not feel those emotions, to push them down. And so the dam is all the energy we're using, but we're adding more and more emotions into the water. So it's more and more pressure. So we need more and more energy to stop it from blowing out. So we're using so much of a precious energy that could be used for creating, I mean, being present, right? Creating things. And it also comes with like an overwhelm because you feel like you don't have like your capacity to do more things because there's a capacity that's being used for like, don't feel the emotions, don't show the emotions, don't be the emotions, hide, push it away. But it's coming up in you. It's in you, and
Yeah, and
your
it's
body.
exhausting. Like you said,
Yeah.
the effort of holding, and it shows up in the body also as tension because you're locking it all in. And I love this image with the dam because uh, our emotions are indeed like water and they need to flow. So when expressing emotions and when letting the emotions flow through, we don't want to blow up the dam, and sometimes it does happen. And like the valley below needs this water to be fertile. Our life needs to be fertilized by our emotions, and there's movement in them. There's information that is important to us, but we want this flow to be, gentle. And it's not so gentle when there's, like you said, so many emotions that are behind that dam and have been for quite some time now.
And just reminding of the valley, it's like we don't actually need the dam.
Yeah.
We have been brought up that we shouldn't show our emotions. I have been brought up that I shouldn't show my emotions. And I think, yeah, a lot of women have been brought up that they shouldn't show their emotions. But we don't need it. We don't need the dam. We don't need to hide our emotions. Our emotions are what makes us human. Our emotion are the base of our human survival, are the base of connection with other people. I mean, I'm meeting more people who say like, I want to see the raw, I want to see the vulnerable, I want to see the sad. And I'm just looking at them, I was like, you want to see me crying like this? And they go, yes, I do, because it's real. And that's
Yeah,
like,
there's this idea that we have to control our emotion. Well, and I think it brings up a lot of shame also, because then you try and control them and you can't. And you think, this is me, I'm a failure. And this shouldn't be happening. But in fact, what we need to do is just channel them constructively, like recognize, allow them to arise, and then redirect them into something. And like you said, I've also been brought up this way. And it's just so, the life is so much richer when you're in tune with your emotions. And they're just, like we said, they're just energy in motion. And they have so much precious information, and they give us the direction, like, and the information is this for me? This is not for me. I will just sensing into them is very, very enriching.
and just to share also a little bit about you, Jasmina, and how you came to do this work and what's the transformation that you work with your clients.
Yeah, so the past 8 years, I've worked mostly, well, not mostly, exclusively with women, but mostly through their pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. So, and the reason or how I got into is how I got into it is through my own experience, first healing from, and through my own Mm, not the picture perfect first birth or the birth I imagined. So, how I support them is through pregnancy and postpartum, with by preparing for birth and integrating the experience later. But what I actually do is I help them attune with themselves, and just to be grounded in this transformation that is motherhood, which is actually bringing you more in alignment with yourself. It's more of you, it's an expansion. And most of us don't see it that way. Expansion of your family, of your sense of self, of your identity, your oftentimes it's of your work and your finances and everything. So that's in broad strokes what I do. And what about you, Tara?
Thanks. I just wanted to add something that came up also, and it's something that I hear is there's, and you can, it's me observing you, so please correct me because you're the one doing this. Um, it's also I've heard there's a feeling of feeling lost from being a mother, like you feel like you lose like the previous part of yourself. And what I've heard you say is you work by integrating all this together. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
expansion. It's a yes and it's one more piece to the thing, but it's not. It's being able to be with all of it.
Yeah, because even though, like I said, there's an expansion happening, it can be really, really overwhelming. And it's kind of, you have to lose yourself to find yourself. And you go through this process of shedding what is not you. And I used to do a lot of birth prep. And it's not so much about the information as it is about embodiment and unlearning so many, shedding so much layers we learn through life. Like we don't trust bodies, we're not in tune with our bodies. You're not supposed to do this, it's supposed to look like that. And the pregnancy and motherhood is just shedding, letting go, which is beautiful but also challenging and at times painful. And it's really helpful. It was for me and it is for my clients now to have someone just hold you through that, not tell you what to do, but be like a gentle guide for you to come home to yourself. Yeah, that's it. Just coming home to ourselves over and over again through these processes.
It's beautiful.
Thank you for that question. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, I guide my clients out of overwhelm and into their power, into their full force, and really to have more time. So when you let go of overwhelm, you get more time and you get more time to do what you want. And through the containers, it's guiding you to know what you want, what you truly desire, not doing what you think other people want of you, but what you want. Um, and yeah, going through that transformation of having a lot more time for yourself and choosing it to spending things on what your heart most desires. And yeah, that goes through any areas of life. And it's just beautiful to see just the person in front of me being able to have some inner lightness appear. Just even if it's at the beginning a slither and then the sliver grows and grows and grows. And then you go forward, well, they go forward towards what they truly want and create it and make it happen. So yeah.
Yeah, this ties in beautifully to the image of the dam. And there's actually this metaphor in the world of somatics, like this river of life, which is your life energy, which is you in your fullest expression. And there are all these rocks and obstacles or dams that were put there in place for a reason at the time. But now that the situation is gone, it's in the past, we don't need it anymore. So we're removing the rocks, the blocks, the dams so that you can flow freely.
Yeah. And actually, on that, how does anger tie in with personal power? So we've touched a little bit on it, but
Mhm. Well, from my experience, personal experience and working with clients is when you're not in touch with your anger, it's very difficult to be in touch with your strength because the anger has a lot to do with holding the charge and healthy expression of anger. I mean, it's the same energy, just is it under threat or is it in safety? Is beginning to is being able to initiate things, to hold, to expand, to assert yourself in a healthy way, to say, well, this is my space, these are my boundaries, like in birth. When you're in birth, this is really, really important to have this sense of self and protection. So anger, yeah, has a lot to do with protection and asserting yourself. And actually, what I like to invite everyone who's listening, and I wanted to ask you, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think anger, like the
mm.
charge of anger, or just a mental image, a concept, a word?
The first thing that came to mind was fire. And yeah, I shared this with you earlier this weekend, where we said like, because I felt angry and you asked me what'd you do with it. And I was like, 5 job applications. And it's in the past, I would have created a story in my mind how people around me that I was annoyed about were wrong and that I'm right, being righteous. And I would have ruminated in my mind over that story, like over and over. That's not fair. It shouldn't be like this. Why can't they understand all these, like, they should understand my feelings. They should understand what I want and all this. There was none of that. Instead, I felt it. Um, I did take care of myself. So there was like walks as well and just being able to move that energy through me so that it wasn't there just building up and like raging all over my body. But then I got home and I was like, action, getting stuff done. And it was, I didn't do it. I wasn't angry while I was doing them as well. That's the thing. Because the energy had transmuted from the angry energy, like say a heavy load, a heavy charge. Not just like the just I don't know how you say I can't find the word for it, but because the anger energy feels more like uplifting, like a raw fire. Like you can't
Mhm.
control it, it's just out, things like that. But when I was doing the application, there was none of that energy. The energy was just flow, getting stuff done. It had transmuted, like I said, into something else, more of an action mode, like when you're super productive in flow and you're just getting stuff done. And that's what it was. I was in flow, just like riding the wave of it.
Yeah.
And it was unfurling at first, and then it was just flow and the current of it, and I was being like carried by the current of that energy and just allowing myself to do it. And so I was in a good energy while I was doing those, but it was riding that wave of energy and felt good and productive. And I slept really well.
Yeah, you described it beautifully, like the process of awareness. Oh, I'm feeling angry. Oh, this is what I'm feeling here. I will move it. I will do something with it, and then it will transmute. I will channel it into something constructive. And like you said, your uh, the first thing that came to mind is fire. Well, the fire, it can warm you up, it can sustain you, it can move you, and it can burn you, and it can burn those around you. And the reason why I asked this question and invited anyone who's listening to also see for themselves what uh, what other things am I'm coupling with anger? Because usually it's I don't want to be bitchy. I don't want to be, aggressive because I've seen anger can do a lot of angry people do a lot of violent things. I don't want to be those people. Or, being assertive is being kind of like bitchy or selfish, and I don't want to do that. And then we cut ourselves off from this uh, nuclear power that is or can be our anger. Like it can power up like three countries or it can destroy the whole world. It just depends on how we channel it. And the anger somatically what it is, it's just charge. And it's a charge that we need. Like we need this charge in order to give birth to a baby. We need it to orgasm. We need it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
We need to
no.
be able to initiate, hold, and expand. And that's what holding this anger, holding this charge does.
Yeah, it's personal power. That is the power. Like that energy within you, that fire. It's true, like for many years, and that's something that I've worked on as well in being coach sessions. And I could see it on other people. It's being afraid of my own fire.
Yes.
And so I would hold myself back and my own fire, not just in anger, but just my potential of just shining and doing things and moving forward and going bigger and bolder and allowing myself to step into that. But there was something again, upbringing, society's norm, and things like that. That was like, don't like you're gonna show off. You're gonna take too much space. You're gonna make people uncomfortable. It's yeah, like don't speak up too loud. It's you're gonna disturb. You're gonna. How dare a woman take space? And even like you got to be pretty, but not too pretty, right? Because if you're too pretty, then you're outshining other women. It's like,
They're the frames, not go. You mustn't cross the line in this direction or this direction. Yeah.
not enough or too much.
Yeah.
And
Well,
actually, recently it was like, be in your muchness, be too much. Like, just curious how you feel, you listening, to talking to you, the audience, and you just mean that you can share as well. But when you see a woman in her true power,
mm.
you see a woman that doesn't try to be in her power, but just shines, who sees you, who hears you, who doesn't react because of something you say, but she's able to really hold space for you. Now, there's two reactions depending on where, maybe a multiple, but like two ways that you can go. One would be inspiration, because you're like, I want this. Like, I don't know what she's got, but there's something, and I'm attracted, or
You
like,
recognize yourself in her, your potential. Yeah.
yeah, that's but there's an attraction. There's a pulling for like, I want to know her. I want to spend time with her. I want to just
Mm-hmm.
there's this an attraction. Or depending how hurt you are, it could be how dare she.
Mm-hmm.
But that is also a reflection of how you see yourself. Like you said, this is you see your inspiration. But if it's on the other side, how dare she, it's because you don't see yourself. You don't allow yourself to be. If you're looking at other women and there's judgment on and like harsh talk inside of you, it's because you are not letting yourself be that thing that you're seeing in the other person. And you're judging yourself for it.
Because when you are in contact with this fire and you're letting your own fire burn and shine brightly, then this won't be an issue. And that's why when you're pushing these feelings down, you cannot assert yourself. You cannot take the space. You cannot say, like, I'm using examples from birth because that's where that's what where most of my experience is. Uh, you will like come to the hospital and feel like a little girl who's asking for permission. Can I do this? Can I do that? Is this allowed? Is this okay? You won't say what you want. You won't ask for anything because there's too much uh there's too much fear around anger. Like fear and shame are, I think, most common overcouplings with anger. Because I'd say that anger is not even like anger as an emotion is not even a primary emotion. It's always like there as a protector, like protector of your own boundaries, protecting you from what you think could hurt you, could uh, endanger your own boundaries, but also protecting you from the more tender feelings of grief or of shame, of inadequacy, of guilt.
And
So
that
yeah.
sadness, sadness.
Yeah.
The amount of time I was angry because actually I was sad that I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, I wasn't witnessed. I something simple, right? Like in the past, but like not being invited to something, even though I couldn't go, whatever. It's just like the sadness would feel into the angry towards the other person. Like how did that person not think of me? But and then just they would be angry. But the truth was I was sad that I wasn't wanted, that I felt like I wasn't wanted.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I had a lot of anger after my first birth, and we usually talk about, postpartum depression. When you start typing postpartum depression is what comes up. But what I work through with a lot of clients is actually anger because you're not sleeping very well, you're not eating properly, so your basic needs aren't fulfilled. And then so much stuff comes up. Like you're overwhelmed with taking care of your baby and all the ways in which your life has shifted. And then a lot of the early stuff, your own early stuff, comes up too. So you're dealing with all of these emotions, and I wasn't friends with my anger at the time. So uh, if I showed you my pictures, me and my baby after my first birth, I was smiling. I was looking like, it's all so radiant. But inside, I was so angry because of my birth, because of the overwhelm, because of everything that was happening. And moving through this anger, like working through it somatically. Now I am able to do just what you described before. Something is happening, like I feel it in my body, or I recognize that I'm doing something that I do when I'm angry. And then there's this awareness. Oh, I'm angry. Interesting. Like not judgy. Oh, you're angry. You're not supposed to be angry, irritated, frustrated, like uh the whole specter of feeling anger. And then, okay, I do feel it. And it usually comes up, and for most women I work with, comes up as restlessness. You know, you feel restless, you have to do something with it. And then, okay, I'm feeling it. I will do something with it right now. I will move. I will write. I will dance. I will speak. I will tap. I will do whatever it is that I need to do. And then I will redirect. And that is how you come home to yourself and you assert your personal power because the anger does not have you. You can contain your anger and it's not overwhelming anymore. And it makes you, you know, a force to be reckoned with. Not in terms of overpowering, but owning it. And then the anger turns to strength. This like raw power that could go either way just gets grounded. It gets solid. Like you said, when you set to work on write those work applications, you weren't angry anymore. You felt more solid, purposeful. You
Yeah.
had a direction, you had a drive. And that's what transmuted anger does. It gives you a direction, a drive, and it sustains you so you can um, go and create the life that you want to create. And you can't do that if you're not in contact with your anger.
Yeah. I wrote down a point from early on as well, and I just wanted to add that there's a difference between anger and violence.
Wow.
And we do fear it is there, they are both like when we see them in society or we hear them, we think that we see angry person and we see an action of the angry person, but it actually is a
Well, the
reaction.
potential is there.
Yeah,
And we saw it and we can feel it. Yeah.
yes, but like what we're saying is like it's two different things. There's an inner workings, which is the feeling the anger, and then it's what you choose to do from the anger. And so violence is one of the many options you can choose. I mean, some people feel angry and just shut off, right? They completely go inwards and they stop talking, stop sharing, and they just like completely like and it could be also an inner self-harm. It wouldn't be physical violence, but it would be a mental violence, psychological violence like internal, which is not good either because you're self-harming yourself on a psychological level. And that does long-term damage as well because you believe what you're thinking and it spirals down and down and down. But they're two different things. And so that's why we're focusing on really like the anger, the emotions, that energy that you're feeling inside of you.
Yeah,
And that is totally okay to exist. Actually, it's more than okay, it's natural.
that's what when I said at the beginning, uh you don't and can't control your emotion. But what you need to, control, moderate is your response to it. Like I can feel this anger, and then if I'm conscious enough and have enough capacity, I can decide what I will do with it. Either will I lash out at you? Usually it's not a choice. Usually it's a lack of capacity. And where the anger has me, I'm not containing the anger, but the anger is running, running the show, so to say. So what we need to moderate is actually the way we're responding to the situation.
When you say moderate, my body goes there.
Um, Maybe it's a wrong word, but
But I like you said
you know what I
decide.
mean.
You
Just
said
the,
decide, and I like that.
yeah,
Um, and when you said that, again, personal power,
yeah.
right? Because you feel angry, you react violently, you lose your power. Like when you see somebody who's lashing out at somebody, do you see somebody who's strong? Really? You just see somebody who's angry and who just doesn't have doesn't have control of anything actually. And I hesitate using that word, but they don't have control of anything. They don't, nothing's going their way, and that's why they're lashing out. And most of the time when you
Yeah,
lash,
they feel hurt, they feel threatened, their needs aren't met, yeah, because physiologically it's a threat response. Yeah, and I also have mixed feelings about the words. Also, like the commonly used word like regulate. It's similar to fire. Like you're there and you're tuning things up. It's just being able, like I said, to hold the charge. Like you feel the discomfort. Okay, we're in disconnection. Maybe you said something that was hurtful for me, or I'm feeling something about this situation is challenging me, is making me feel threatened. And now, am I conscious of this? Am I aware of this? And can I hold this discomfort enough for long enough to channel it, to move it, to feel it, to express it in a safe and constructive way so that I don't damage myself or our relationship?
yeah. And yeah, I like how you um elaborated more on the regulation aspect and how and what it is about how I'm trying to figure out how exactly it was. But people not wanting to feel the feelings or afraid to feel the feelings or that it's too much. But actually, with the regulation part of it, so this is a word that is on the somatic, the body work and things like that. Um, but it's actually our capacity to be with our emotions. So human beings have that capacity. You look at kids, they have it. Right? And I love that example of like a kid's run around with an ice cream falls on the floor. The kid bawls his eyes out. Oh, it's the end of the world. My ice cream's gone. And like 30 seconds later, they're off running and like playing around. Right? And so it's like something happened. It was sad. The emotions was expressed. Right?
And hopefully tended to and comforted.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's another aspect. But then afterwards, once that's passed through the body, right? Because an emotion is 90, like 60 to 90 seconds within the body, right? And when that passes through the body, then it's like, okay, what's next? And we don't need to hold on to it, right? And yes, so then whether like the parents say, oh, don't cry, or like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry that yes, it is sad that your ice cream fell on the floor, whether it's like validated or pushed down. And that's when you see like if it's validated, oh yes, it is sad that your ice cream fell down. And just being with that, allowing the child to feel that, then that's healthy regulation learning. Where it's like, don't cry, then you're teaching the child to shut down their feelings. And then you could see that afterwards in adulthood, where it comes as well. And so our bodies, we can feel all the emotions. But if we have learned, and again, personal experience and from clients also I've seen, to push our emotions down, when an emotion comes up, we think that we don't have the capacity to feel it. But that's our mind telling us it's too much. But the truth is, our bodies have that capacity. It is in our, it's part of the old, not even reptilian brain, because it's not even the brain, it's the nervous system, right? So it's even older than the brain because our nervous system were evolved before the brain started to like really evolve. But our bodies have that capacity to feel. It's just we think like, oh, too much. But when we breathe in it, and I love somatic work, like body work, and done some with you as well. But when you are with an uncomfortable like sensation within the body and you just pause, you breathe into it and you allow yourself to be with it, you realize, okay, people who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress, like this is, we're talking about humans that haven't gone through a massive event, like stressful event in their lives. But yeah, just allowing yourself to be with that when you breathe into it for a little while. First of all, it might expand a little bit and it might feel a little bit more uncomfortable, but eventually, after like even within like a minute, because it's quite quick actually. It feels longer, but it's quick when you do it.
I think this is gonna last forever. I don't want to go there. And then it's just like a wave comes up and then just rolls down.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It just it integrates into your body, and the more you do this, the more you realize like, oh, I can feel it. And then with this as well, it's like when you feel the anger, right? When you allow yourself to feel the uncomfortable emotions, the beautiful thing about that is you get to feel the deepness of the most beautiful emotions as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Whole nervous system relaxes and goes, oh, and I can feel this, and I can feel this. Oh, and I can feel that anger. Oh, I can see it. I can feel it. Oh, I can feel
Wow.
the sadness. I can feel the grief. Oh, and I can feel the joy. Oh, this is good.
The life
And
gets juicy.
it's,
Really, really
yeah.
juicy. Yeah.
And even as I'm talking, I can feel my whole body tingling
Yeah.
because it's like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, because you can't turn down just the negative and the uncomfortable emotions. What you do is you also mute yourself. You mute your joy, your expansion, your like everything you showed now so beautifully. And I love that disclaimer that you made. It's very important that for some people, especially when you have a history of, putting things on the side, stuffing stuff down, then it's a process of gradually learning to be with and to tolerate the discomfort. Because that's damn from the beginning, there's a lot of stuff behind that. And we don't want to blow it up. We want
Mm.
to feel in a little bit, to heal a little bit, and then go on. Just take it one thing at a time. We do not have to, and we don't want to do it all at once
Not
because
recommended.
overwhelming, yes, and counterproductive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's doable. I mean, I was doing it without realizing I was doing it. I was doing it because it was from a business perspective. I wanted to be able to make bolder action. I wanted to stop procrastinating. I wanted to be able to reach out to people with confidence. I wanted to have clarity in what I wanted to do. And in doing that work, being followed by coaches, interestingly enough, and now it's not that interesting because it's obvious, but still interesting in a way. But it's the personal life that comes up, right? It's like why are you afraid to shine? Why are you afraid to show up? And it comes back from childhood, from society's conditioning, and it's it's not boundaries, it's uh, limits. Yeah, limits, walls that I have put there throughout growing up because at some point in my life they were useful. There was sensations that I felt. I felt hurt. I felt lack of belonging, and it was structures that I put out because it was a self-defense mechanism and it was unconscious. I didn't think about it, right? And we talk about this now in hindsight because we can see it what happened, and we also have like the learnings and all the scientific studies that comes with it. And it's like now we see it. Um, but I was unaware of this. And even while I was working this, I remember like being in coaching sessions and just things coming up um, that, yeah, I did not allow myself to play and have fun. And that was also linked of how I was not allowing myself to show up in my business to just fail and make mistakes and just try things out. And I was so afraid of like how I would be perceived if I failed. And it's everything's interlinked.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes in hindsight, but the real work is just learning to be with it. Because what you said is invaluable insight into your own personal history and the way your system works and processes things. But what I see my clients where they usually get stuck is they understand. They have this bird's eye view of everything that's happening. And what is actually stopping them from moving through it is going down, like tuning into the body to feel it. Because the understanding, the analysis, the history, the story can be such a nice distraction from actually tuning into what is happening right now. So
Yeah.
this is the work.
And thank you for sharing that because it's a conversation. But yeah, at the time, like there's no thinking when the work is being done. Like with the coaches in front, it's going into the body, feeling what's going on there. There's no thinking. And it is done with easefulness when guided with a coach. And and I'm so grateful for all the hours of coaching that I've had because I am here today and I can do it on my own now because of the practice and repeating and doing like
Yeah.
over and over again. And it was what a good like 40 hours plus of coaching that I've had where it's just like, yeah. And after a while, you're like, okay, now I know how to do this. And same thing, like when you train, because you've done somatic training as well on yourself, um, it's, yeah, like again, like what happened last weekend, the fact that I could just deal with it myself and I don't need to go and do it with somebody else. And it's fluid. But at the beginning, I was guided and I was supported to do it. Um, it's like training wheels on, right? And and it was easy. There was no thinking. It was fully into the body, like you're mentioning.
Yeah, definitely. I second that. Mm. My training in somatic, specifically somatic experiencing, has changed my life in so many ways. And it's about that. It's about learning to be with yourself, building this capacity to be able to just support yourself through this, because so many of us didn't have that. We didn't build the skill sets
Mm.
growing up. I'd say most of the people I'm surrounded with, or I'm yet to meet this person, this unicorn who has learned this through their own childhood. And there was another piece you mentioned. I wanted to move through procrastination. And I love talking about procrastination because it's such it is the devil in the
Oh, yeah, it is.
of self-development. Like you're just self-sabotaging, you're procrastinating. And I want to unshame that, like anyone who's going through it, just to have the mm, a different perspective on what is actually happening. Like you said in this piece of your own story that you shared, I put in these blocks, uh, these patterns emerged through my childhood, through my growing up. Well, we all have them, and they were there for a reason. At the time, they were really necessary. So when a self-sabotage or procrastination comes up, it's just our system letting us know this looks familiar, and this is threatening to me in a way. Maybe I'm overwhelmed. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I need to take some time with myself. Maybe I need to tune in. Maybe I need to check what this is about. It's not, I don't like those terms because, especially self-sabotage, it sounds like there's something inside of you that is working against you. And this concept, it really bothers me because it makes an enemy out of a part of you that was really put in place to protect you.
Yeah.
And most women I worked with had to go through a lot of freeze, which is what procrastination, in a sense, is. It's you being so overwhelmed by what is happening or by what could happen if you do the thing that you're stuck in this place. So again, it comes down to holding the charge and building your capacity gradually, yeah. So that you can move out of freeze. And the first thing that comes up when you're getting out of freeze is anger. is all the stuff you put aside. So
Mm.
it's ideally it's a gentle process. And like you said, I'm not sure you can do it on your own. I couldn't. And it's best when someone is guiding you through it
Yeah, at the beginning, I said.
until you build the skill set on your own. Yeah, but this part, like I said, freeze, procrastination, self-sabotage is just a way that your system lets you know this looks familiar. This could be, I mean, it reminds me of something threatening, and it's just pointing to something, some needs that needs tending to.
And that what comes up is kindness towards, and I remember sharing this on a group call, and somebody's like, "No, if you want to feel the anger, feel the anger." It's like, yes, and be kind to it. And I know it's paradoxical when you're like, "But how can one be angry and kind?" Because we're talking about one person, different parts. And in Nicole, I just let it be because I was just like, I didn't want to get into it. But what I mean by being kind with your anger is when you feel the anger and you accept it as it is, you see it as a friend. And that's where the kindness comes in. So instead of saying like, I shouldn't feel angry, this feels crap, or I'm going to be mean, or I'm, like you said, a bitch, or horrible, or, all that is seeing anger as a friend. And when you feel it, again, with the awareness of it, when the fire comes up and you're like, hey there, what's up? And just like, hey, what you want to do? And just be curious about it, right? And that's like, I mean, this is like a playful kindness if you want. But instead of saying, you shouldn't be there, you should go away, I don't want you, this is going to make me look bad, and all shaming and guilting, as you mentioned. And just going like, oh yeah, it's you again. And actually the movie comes up with the emotions in the brain, and you have anger
Yeah,
that comes up and
inside
press
out.
the button.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but it's having all these emotions together as friends. And when they come up, you get curious, like, oh, like, what happened? Why are you here? Like, what? Okay, fair enough. Something happened that, your boundaries were crossed or something. And with the
It's
curiosity.
information. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And when you said that, what you're really talking about is, allowing them and accepting them. And just as you were saying that, I could feel, oh, there's a softening. Something softens when you do that, or when you have someone do that for you. Just
Yeah.
make space and allow. It is so simple to the point where discard it because no, that's way too simple. That's way too easy. That's a whole other topic. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that it's easy to implement. It requires a lot of practice and spaces where you're encouraged to do that.
Mm.
Relationships where you can show up in your genuine expression, like just in your full expression.
And yeah, what comes up with that is like the relationship would be somebody who's able to see you, understand that your feelings have nothing about them. Because it's a lot of time in a daily dynamic, when you have somebody expressing their anger, the person in front either picks up the anger as well and it triggers something into them, or they want to calm down. So you have either like the enabling, and even if you're just communicating with a friend, right, with good intentions, but that doesn't have that awareness, whether if you're communicating with somebody who's got a regulated um, emotional system, knows how to self-regulate, they'll just be able to see you. And again, like I was talking about the inner kindness, there'll be that outer kindness.
Mm.
And they'll just get curious. I'm like, okay, what happened today? Oh, that sounds like you're angry. All right, tell me more. Like, do you want to go deeper into that? Where do you think that comes from? What part of you felt hurt? Or just if it's just hearing you, right? but they're neither like telling you, they're not telling you how to do, what to do, how to be, how to shift. They're just there holding space for you. So if you've got one of those friends, they're golden. Keep them around and
Yeah.
thank them profusely because they are, and they are. And if you don't, depending on what you're working on, get yourself a coach or a therapist. Like, and those are like, I mean, this is one of the things that we do, right, as coaches. And my clients, when they work with me, that's the thing they say, like, I feel so heard and seen. And all emotions come up. Like, I had a client who was unleashing and she was crying pretty much for the whole session. And I just held space for her. And I just asked her, like, how much time do you need? Need more time? You know, and I was there and I was present. And there was so much, and it was energy. There was so much energy that was coming out. Because it was through the grief, through the sadness, there was something coming out. And I was just there and I wasn't telling her how to be, what to do. And I was just holding the space. Now, sessions like that aren't my common sessions, but it did happen. And then you have other sessions where, yeah, you see the hurt. And one of our things that we do, which I love as well, is like you do your own work so that you don't project on the clients. Um,
Yeah, definitely. A lot of it.
yeah, but it's a gift. I mean, I hear people, it's like, oh, you're a coach. Like my friend is a coach and she tells me what to do. I'm like, that's not a good coach. Like a coach doesn't tell you my personal biased opinion from what I've learned and what I've seen. A great coach will never tell you what to do. They will check in with you. They will guide you to find your answers within yourself. And then they will call you forward to take that action that you are going to choose to do for yourself and move forward.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what I do with my clients. Like it's inner resourcing. They check in because you already have the answers within you, right? And same thing, like when you feel the anger, when you feel all that, you have that knowledge inside of you. There's no need to look outside. It's already there within
Yeah, it's just holding the space for your own self-leadership to emerge.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you said before about that client crying, what I noticed usually is when there are a lot of tender feelings, when you work through the sadness, the grief, then the anger kicks in, like the protector part. And when it's the other way around, when there's a lot of anger, blame, it should have been this way, should have been that way. When you work through anger, then the tender feelings emerge. So it's always the full spectrum of emotions. And that is wholeness. That is that um, feeling, that states we all want to live in, like feeling the fullness of yourself, like you were describing with your body, all the states before. That is the place that most of us, if not all of us, want to reach. And there's no bypassing this uh, icky, uncomfortable, I don't want to do this parts to get to the other side.
Yeah. And it's what comes up is short term and long term, right? We suppress. It's also default, right? So that's also the fact. But like we think by suppressing short term, we have a problem sorted. But we're creating a long term problem of like suppression and not being able to allow ourselves to be, to express ourselves, to do what we want to do, to go after what
I
we want
have
to
the image of the dam ever since the beginning. When
do.
you're talking about it, there's build
I
up
love that
and the
image.
dam. Yeah. No, images are great. They work perfectly. Yeah.
And so yeah, so it's like short-term comfort, but long-term discomfort. And at the beginning, you might not be aware of it. Um, and you might never be aware of it, actually. Some people just go through life with never really being aware of it, but it does affect your life. It's not because you're not feeling it that it doesn't affect how you live. So it does affect your life. And then, like you said, there's the I don't want to feel it, but if you allow yourself to feel the uncomfortable in those moments at the beginning, it's long-term ease afterwards. And we're talking like rest of your life forever easefulness felt through it all, right? And it's not because you don't go back. Like, there's no way I'm going back to how it was before. And today, when things come up and I'm feeling all the different feelings, there's this easeful feeling through it all.
Yeah.
Does it feel like I feel all this stuff, but it's easy to feel the anger.
Yeah.
There is easy to feel the sadness. It is, but it doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable. Again, the paradox. Like I can feel when I think about like people, the family members that have passed away that were dear to me, like I feel the grief. I can feel the grief. I can feel the tingling. I could feel all this, but I allow it to flow through my body.
Mhm.
And then it just releases. And then there's like happy memories that come up as well. Like, because it's
Yeah.
again,
Yeah. I had a thought and then it went away. And then, like what you said with some people that we lost or some things that uh, just went away. When you work through the grief, you get something back. And I had a similar experience with when my grandfather died. I was severed from it for a long time, not because I wanted to, it was just a defense mechanism. And many, many years after his death, when I worked through the grief, there was also the anger, it wasn't fair. Everything that you go through, stages of grief, timeless. Whenever you tend to it, that's the time. I had a sense of like he was back in my life. Like I could access the love, the memories, support all over again. So yeah, like we said, the full spectrum. And yeah, I remember what I wanted to say. Yeah. So it sounds maybe for someone who hasn't experienced this yet or to this extent, it sounds like, why would I want to do that? Like, why would I want to go through this discomfort and keep consenting to going through this discomfort over and over again? But like you said, and for me, I can also relate to that. It's going through the uncomfortable is not as uncomfortable anymore. And this is the paradox because it's fluid. It's flowing. And that's for me, that is the sense of ease. Not I'm always, things are always perfect and everything is great. No, but when you go through the contraction, you feel the pain, but you don't have to suffer. And you contract, but you don't have to stay there. You don't get stuck there. Things just oh, this is painful, and then it's gone. That's why I love birth work because that when you go through birth and what you experience through pregnancy and birth and postpartum can be translated into everything and anything you do and go through in life. And that's what we go through on a daily basis. We go through these contractions and how we breathe through them, how we stay present with them allows us for so much ease, regardless of what is going on right now.
yeah. Hmm. And going back on the topic of anger.
Yeah, I just took a look at a few bullet points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, just like sharing. So because we talked, Jasmina and myself, and you can fill in and correct wherever it is, but obviously we've done this for a few years. We're at ease with it, and it's easy for us, and so we notice when things come up. But just like how to recognize when anger comes up in your body, because it comes up in many different things, right? And so we'll share afterwards like what you can do when it comes up. But just first, the awareness of it is the first thing. Like if you are interested in shifting your current pattern from being angry to reacting or to shut it down or suppressing, first thing is recognizing it.
Mhm.
Um, So, yeah, what are signs of anger coming up in the body?
Yeah, awareness is such a big piece, and it's not even beginner's level because as you advance, as you go further down your path, you realize the same, maybe same or similar patterns emerge, but on a different level, more subtly. So I say awareness of your own patterns and what comes up for you, what you do when you're angry is first and the biggest step. So when you're aware of this, great. Like you're,
A step ahead.
yeah, definitely. So there are a lot of ways that anger can show up for you. But usually what happens is there's this, like I said, a sense of restlessness. Like I need to, it's a flighty response. Like you want to move away from it or you lash out. But mostly women do, what they do is retreat or go somewhere else. There's a clenching in your jaw. Maybe you feel a contraction in your muscles. Um, what my clients often share is that they realize that they're angry when they do some specific things. For example, I was halfway through the chocolate when I realized, oh, that had an effect on me. But it was like, I'm on my way to do something to self-soothe. Usually
Mm.
not something constructive. I'm, scrolling, I'm eating, and whatever. And then I realized, oh, I'm doing this. So at this point, it's probably easier for you to recognize the behavior. And then later on, it will be easier to recognize what is happening somatically. At the jaw, sometimes the pelvis, the clenching, the restlessness. Usually it's the general, like I'm feeling nervous or irritation, like
Mm.
you become snappy or just you're, yeah, basically irritated.
And I'd like to add to that as well, um, when you're in conversation. So, one thing, if you do notice that you're angry when you're obviously you're not going to notice before you're angry because you're not going to predict yourself. It's like soon.
Prodromes. There are
Huh?
things before the thing. There are signs before the signs
Yes,
I could
yes.
tell you, but that's a whole
Yeah,
other
but yes,
game.
we're not. That's fine. Like, it just, but obviously, but what I mean, what I wanted to share was, um, it's okay to notice when you're in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and so it's also when you're having a conversation with somebody else, you can find yourself like talking to defend yourself. Like
Mhm.
when somebody is saying something and you feel like you have to defend yourself over and over, like that's a trigger also. Like that's there's something going on in your body and that you can feel the heat, the contraction, and you're protecting yourself and you're on the defense. Or same thing if your voice is you're speaking louder,
And faster.
faster, yeah. And you're moving towards the person or your body's leaning forward as well. When you're feeling like the aggressivity of like just like but yeah, yeah, it's coming out as well, and so the whole body will be feeling that. If it is the other person and you're feeling like a reaction from the other person, they might be leaning in and you might be leaning back, and but they might still be like, I don't know if it'd be only anger coming out, but a bit of fear, but that would be in an anger dynamic as well that would come up. Um, and so just being aware in that situation, right? So um, those are all symptoms, signs as well that would come up, not symptoms, signs um, that would come up as well in the conversation. And I mean, myself today, like I still get triggered. Your family are your biggest triggers.
Yeah.
And and so I notice it. So when I'm having a conversation, it's a lot quicker. So what happens is at the beginning, you might be having a conversation for like 10 minutes, and then you're like, I'm in this pattern again. Like this is coming up. And now I'm in it for like 1 or 2 minutes. Uh, and with family, it takes longer. With friends, it's super quick.
Of
It's
course.
no,
Yeah.
but you gotta say this because it is like you think like even after doing all these years of work and things like that, it still comes up, and you still the thing is with family, there's a there's a pattern from childhood that get picks up, and this is a lifetime of construct that you like you don't like it
You're,
doesn't
you're
it
not
doesn't
going to overcome your humanness. Yeah.
Exactly. So it does take a little bit more time, but it does take less and less time the more you work with this. But yeah, it's just noticing it within like a few minutes, going like, why am I? And now actually, that's the question. It's like, why am I defending myself? Oh, I'm angry. Oh, here we go again. And I just have breathe and like, okay, and then we'll talk the next about. This is what kind of goes on now. Whereas in the past, it would be like defense, defense, defense. Why don't you understand this? Blah blah, and it would get into a heated argument or heated
Yeah.
conversation. Now it's quicker, but it still happens, and I smile to myself when it's like, ah, here we go again. It's like meeting that friend, with like a friendly compassion, like, ah, there he is, there she
Yeah.
is.
My
She's back.
reaction is usually my reaction is usually oh, interesting. Hmm. Like what's happening? And I love that you share that because it speaks to, don't get discouraged if you catch yourself while you're doing it or even afterwards, because this is how we change. We become aware of it first in hindsight, then during, then maybe you catch yourself when you're starting to do it, but definitely it's a process and it's a practice. It's a practice, really recommitting to tending to your own emotions. And
Yeah.
how would you say, what would you suggest as tools to, what do you do when you notice this? Or for someone who's just gaining awareness on this?
Well, we've covered this, and you just said, and it's just noticing it,
Yeah.
right? So bringing awareness, like, oh, I'm doing this, and what I would add to this, and the metaphor also of the meditation comes up to me, like mine as well. And I'll share why meditation, but it's just like celebrate yourself for noticing it, right? And you can do that after, later, or whatever. You don't have to do it in the moment, right? But like if in hindsight you're like, oh, I was angry, and you're like, oh, I noticed I was angry. Yay! 1 point for me. Point stars, whatever. Just like good times, high five, boogie dance, whatever works for you. But celebrating it because awareness, again, you said it, and it's the same thing. Awareness is the first step of change. So if this is something that you want to shift and you bring awareness to it, even if it is after the fact, next time it will be a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. And that's how it happens. Um, and yeah, so when you're in that moment, bringing awareness to it, if you're in the moment itself, where you're still in it and you're feeling the anger and it's being expressed for whatever thing, if you're noticing it, just pause whatever you've been doing, like the conversations, the movement things. If that's like in a capacity, if you can't stay there and pause, just go for a walk. Just like, I need a minute out.
Yeah.
Just
Time
in,
out.
yeah, pattern interrupt.
Yes.
It might be weird when you do it with a partner. You can, when you come back, you can explain it or just say like, I need a minute. And if they insist, and I did used to do this when I first started using these tools, and I was still in a relationship, to be real nasty to you, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to take it out. I need to go. And when they say that, when you say that normally, they're like, okay, go. It might be weird, but like if you and you can say that with angry, like I'm not there right now, and I'm gonna, if I really go at it, I'm gonna really have a fucking, and like you could feel like
What is that
my
movie?
jaw.
No, I just remember the sentence, I love you, but I don't really like you right now.
That's
Just
a good one.
came up. Yeah. Like just let me regroup and then we'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to explain yourself. If you do, you can explain it with like clenched teeth and whatever, just saying like, yeah, I love you, but I don't like you right now, just or whatever. Um, and I find that when I did do that, the person was like empathic in front, it would let me go. And I mean, if they don't and you go into burst and things like that, that's a different scenario. Uh, I would advise if you don't know how to deal with this, then therapy or coach, depending on the situation that you're working on. Um, but yeah, just like stopping that pattern,
Yeah.
disconnecting from that pattern.
And it ties into what we shared in the beginning, like don't calm down. It's like awareness. Oh, I'm angry. I'm taking a step back, and then now I won't calm down. I won't push it down. I will do something with this. I will take a break. I will take a walk. I will breathe. I will move it through my body. I will shake it off. There are so many tools right now, like you Google it, tools for somatic release of whatever, and they will come up. But the awareness is the
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. And then afterwards, like we've explained a few situations already with like Jasmina and myself of what we do when we're in those moments and um, just like simplifying it. But when you're in the moment, you notice that you're angry, you pause, and it's the pause is extremely like small. Um, and then you realize it. So when you realize it, there's a shift of your energy. So it's not, you're not pushing it down, but it's a transmutation. Yeah, the energy is being transformed into something else. And then you're able to continue the conversation, continue the situation with that energy. Um, and that would be like, yeah, advanced.
Yeah, but just and
And then
stating it, sometimes giving yourself the acknowledgement, the validation. Oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm sad. Changes something already. There's a shift happening. Like when you were talking about your anger before, and then it's, oh, hey, there you are. Like the acceptance, the welcoming, and then something softens, something shifts. Ah, this is, yeah, such a rich topic. And I think we could go on and on. And at the same time, I think we covered most of what we wanted to share today. Do you
yeah,
have anything to add or how you'd like to conclude this?
if being kind to yourself again,
Mm.
when anger comes up, it is a natural emotion to feel. Doesn't mean anything about you, apart from the fact that you are a human. Woohoo! um, and yeah, it's completely natural. And if you feel called to work with somebody, you can go and find, if it's past things that you're working on, then you can work with therapists. And if it's future orientated, working with coaches, you can DM me. We'll share the link with the video with Jasmina. But yeah, you can book a call with me if you feel called to, and we can get curious on how we can, yeah, guide through your journey. Well, how I can guide you through your journey, and with Jasmina as well. If you feel called to work with her, how can they do that?
Thank you for extending that invite. Yeah, like I said, I exclusively work with women, especially when they're going through periods of transition, be it birth or some other huge life changes, how they can ease into it and, like I said, come home to themselves.
They can reach out that by DM. There's a link. There's a call they can book.
We will put the links down in the description. So hopefully, you gain a lot from today's call. Our conversation, for me at least, was very rich
It
and
was.
took me years of therapy education relating to reach this level of embodiment and insights. So I'm really glad and grateful to be able to pass this on.
Same here. And just inviting you who is watching, if you have any questions or would like anything to like questions for yourself or more curiosity about the topic, add it into the comments and we'll have a look and we'll see what comes out from that. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmina, for holding the space and for sharing on this topic.
Yeah. Thank you for being my partner in crime.